Society treats money as a rigid equation of numbers, calculators, and logical spreadsheets. Yet this logic frequently breaks. Brilliant mathematicians go broke, while people with no formal training retire with millions. This discrepancy lives in our financial DNA. We make financial decisions based on the specific world we were born into. Someone born in 1970 saw the S&P 500 increase tenfold during their formative years. They view the stock market as a wealth-generating machine. Someone born in 1950, however, watched those same years stagnate, leading to a lifetime of skepticism. Inflation creates similar scars. A teenager in the 1960s experienced severe economic trauma from rising prices. A child of the 1990s spent decades in a low-inflation environment, leaving them largely unconcerned with its effects. Mathematical models fail because they ignore these human variables. Wealth is built on behavior, not just formulas. Warren Buffett sits at the peak of wealth accumulation, with a net worth of roughly $84 billion. Compare him to hedge fund manager Jim Simons, who earns a staggering 66% annually. Buffett's 22% average looks modest by comparison. The math reveals a massive gap. Despite Simons being the statistically superior investor, his net worth sits 75% below Buffett's. Time is the variable that settles the score. Buffett began serious investing at age 10. Simons didn't find his stride until he was 50. Buffett simply had more runway to let his money compound. Wealth creation favors the investor who remains in the market for the longest duration. In 1968, only a few hundred high schoolers in the world had access to a computer terminal. Bill Gates was among them. He was joined by Kent Evans. Evans possessed the exact same intellect, work ethic, and vision for computing as Gates. Evans never founded Microsoft. He lost his life in a mountaineering accident before graduation, a rare one-in-a-million stroke of tragic risk. Luck and risk determine the final trajectory. These sibling forces demand humility from those who reach the finish line. We often assume that wealth requires making the right choice every single time. Heinz Berggruen built an art collection so massively valuable that he eventually sold a fraction of it for over 100 million euros. Berggruen didn't rely on perfect taste. 99% of his acquisitions were essentially worthless. His entire fortune lived within the final 1%, the rare masterpieces. In finance, we call this a long tail, where a tiny number of events drive the majority of outcomes. Amazon followed this same logic. The Fire Phone was an expensive failure that cost the company hundreds of millions. Jeff Bezos remained unconcerned. He focused on the scale of his winners. Products like AWS and Prime provided the returns that outpaced the costs of the failed experiments. You can be wrong most of the time, so long as your portfolio captures the few outlier events that drive all growth. Investing carries a heavy emotional cost. Many attempt to capture high rewards without paying for the uncertainty. Think of the market as a car dealership. You can buy new for a high cost, buy used for a lower reward, or try to steal the car and get something for nothing. Investors try to steal market returns. They panic sell during dips and panic buy during booms, attempting to avoid the fear of a crash while still expecting the gains. Successful investing requires paying an emotional admission fee. Market volatility is the price of long-term growth. Richness represents visible consumption, the expensive cars and luxury upgrades that often signal debt. Wealth represents unseen assets. It is the restraint of leaving money alone so it can buy you options later. The pursuit of visible richness often leads to the hedonic treadmill. Every financial milestone causes the goalpost to move further away, leaving the runner perpetually unsatisfied. Bernie Madoff provides a warning of its destructive power. He possessed immense legitimate wealth, yet he lacked a sense of enough and resorted to crime to expand his pile. Rajat Gupta was another ultra-wealthy individual who lost everything because he couldn't recognize when he had already won the game. Constantly pursuing money without any stopping point is exactly like filling a bucket with a hole in the bottom. No volume of income can compensate for a lack of restraint. Accumulating assets provides a buffer against the world's demands. By choosing enough, you trade material objects for the ability to wake up and say, I can do whatever I want today. Money's ultimate dividend is absolute control over your own time.